Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the channel. As part of the usual, I am Cobble S. Cobble. Welcome back. As you see, we're in the middle. This is part 2 of the murders at Karlov Manor unboxing, as we can see right there. And if you're enjoying the content, please give us a like. If you want to see more stuff that we do, please subscribe. And then comment down below whatever you want to. Are you a Magic player? Are you not a Magic player? What mechanics do you like? Or what mechanics do you like? Or which ones you want to bring back? So, where we last left off, we had just finished off one of our packs. We are currently have 6 left. So, without further ado, let's get right back into it. Next up, we have the Gearbane or Auditarian. Fuck, I'm not even going to say it. It's the ape. It's the one orangutan? No. We'll go with it. I'll catch hell for it later, but it's the Gearbane orangutan. 3-drop, 2/2, 2 colorless, 1 red. Ape reach. Whenever Gearbane or Auditarian enters the battlefield, choose 1. Destroy up to 1 target artifact. Sack an artifact. If you do, put 2 1/1 counters on the Gearbane. Next up, we have the Macabre Reconstruction. Macabre Reconstruction. 4-drop. 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 black sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature card was put into a graveyard from anywhere this turn. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Next up, we have Vengeful Creeper, 5-drop, 4/5/5, 4/6, 4 colorless, 1 green, plant elemental, disguise. And when Vengeful Creeper is turned face up, destroy a target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Next up, we have the Market Watch Phantom. 2-drop, 2/2, 1 colorless, 1 white. Spirit Detective. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, Market Watch Phantom gains flying until end of turn. Next up, we have Behind the Mask. 1-drop, blue, instant. Initial cost to this cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. Exile cards with a total mana value 6 or greater from your graveyard. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/3. If evidence was collected, it has base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn. More confusion. Next up, we have the Fairy Snoop, 3-drop, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black, 1/4. Fairy Detective, flying, disguise. When Fairy Snoop is turned face up, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand and the other into your graveyard. Next up, we have Unauthorized Exit, 2-drop, instant, 1 colorless, 1 blue. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Surveil 1. Look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. Next up, we have the Repulsive Mutation. We've already chatted about that. Next up, we have the Absolving Lamassu. 5-drop, 4/3, 4 colorless, 1 white. Lamassu, flying. When Lamassu enters the battlefield, all suspected creatures are no longer suspected. When Lamassu dies, you gain 3 life and suspect up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. And for those that are wondering, a suspected creature has menace and can't block. Next up, we have the Runebrad Juggler, 2-drop. 1 black, 1 green, 2/2. Human Shaman. When Runebrand Juggler enters the battlefield, suspect up to 1 target creature you control. 3 colorless, a black-red, sacked, suspected creature. Target creature gets -5 and -5 until end of turn. Next up, we have Rope again. We've already chatted with that. And then next up, we have Ism Agency Chief. 1 colorless, 2 white, 2 blue, 5/5, Acarn. Acarn Detective. Arcan Detective. Flying, the chief enters the battlefield and investigate twice. Sack an artifact, Ism gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, Hexproof, or he gains Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until end of turn. We have alternate art of the auspicious arrival. Extra land. And then we have a doggo. A cute doggo as a token. Alright, we got 5 left. First up, we have the Jaded Analyst. 2-drop, 3/2, Human Detective. 1 colorless, 1 blue, Defender. When you draw your second card each turn, Jaded Analyst loses Defender and gains Vigilance until end of turn. We've already talked about the Rumble Belt. We've talked about the Cerebral Constication. We've already chatted with the Vituzu Ganzai Inspector. We've also talked about the Gadget Tactician. Now we're going to put on our thinking caps. 1 drop, 1 colorless, artifact and equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+2. Equip Detective 1. Equip 3. Attach this target to attach to target creature you control. Equip only as a sorcery. So if you equip this to a detective, it only costs you 1. But if you standardize equip it, it costs you 3. Next up, we have Deduce. 2-drop. Instant. 1 colorless, 1 blue. Draw a card, investigate. Next up, we have the Long Goodbye. 2-drop. Instant, 1 colorless, 1 black. This spell can't be countered. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. Next up, we got another Lamassu. We got another Juggler. Ooh, we got a dual rare. We have a dual land, Thundering Falls. Rare, enters battlefield tapped, enters the battlefield Surveil 1. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. So we got a dual land. And we also got a mythic rare. The Incinerator of the Guilty. 5-drop, 4/5, 6-drop. 6/6 dragon, 4 colorless, 2 red, flying trample. Whenever Incinerator of Guilty deals combat damage to a player, you may collect evidence X. When you do, Incinerator of the Guilty deals X damage to each creature and each planeswalker that player controls. Dear God. To collect evidence X, exile cards with total mana cost value X or greater from your graveyard. Essentially, remove anything you want from your graveyard and do that much damage to all creatures and planeswalkers. Damn, that's brutal. Next up, we have a Detective Satchel. 4-drop, 2 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red, artifact. When Detective Satchel enters the battlefield, investigate twice. Then tap, create a 1/1 color stop your artifact creature token with flying. Activate only if you sacrifice an artifact this turn. Then we got another full art land. And then we have another full art series card. Alrighty. And Incinerate of the Guilty is just brutal. But yeah, we'll take the extra rare. Next up, we got 3 packs left. We have the Goblin Mask Maker, 1-drop, Goblin Citizen, 1/2. Whenever Goblin Mask Maker attacks face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast. Next up we have Belicia Stalker, 6-drop, 5 colors, 1 black, 3/4 Vampire Detective. When Stalker deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and surveil 1. Disguise 5, then you can disguise 5. And then we're going to take a Bite Down on Crime, 4-drop, 3 colors, 1 green, sorcery, and additional cost to cast this spell. You may collect evidence 6. This spell costs 2 less to cast if evidence was collected. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Next up, we have Inside Source. 3-drop, 1/1 Human Citizen, 2 colorless, 1 white. When Inside Source enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. 3 colorless, tap target detective you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn and gain vigilance until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Next up, we have Reasonable Doubt. 2-drop, instant, 1 colorless, 1 blue. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Suspect up to 1 target creature. Next up, we have Pick Your Poison. 1-drop, green. Sorcery, choose 1. Each opponent sacks an artifact. Each opponent sacks an enchantment, or each opponent sacks a creature with flying. Nice Pick Your Poison. Next up, we have Makeshift Bindings. 3-drop enchantment, 2 colorless, 1 white. When Makeshift Bindings enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until Makeshift Binding leaves the battlefield. You gain 2 life. Next up, we have the Cursed to Kill. 5-drop, 3 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 1, has death touch, and is an assassin in addition to its other types. So essentially, yeah, I butchered that name, but that's fine. You come, whatever. We have a Foreign Familiar, 1-drop, 1 white, 1/1 cat disguise. We have when Foreign Familiar is turned face up, return another target permanent you control to its owner's hand and put a 1/1 counter on the Foreign Familiar. Next up, we have the Mistway Spy, 1-drop, 1/1 Merfolk Detective, 1 blue. Flying Disguise. When Misfire is turned face up, until end of turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, investigate. Next up, we have the Cruel Cracker. 2-drop, 3/2, 1 black, 1 green. Insect Assassin. When Whipcracker enters the battlefield, destroy target token and opponent controls. Next up, we have our rare is a Case of the Uneaten Feast. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life. To solve, you've gained 5 or more life this turn. Sacrifice this case. Creature cards in your graveyard gain. You may cast this card from your graveyard until end of turn. Next up, we have another Innocent Bystander, just flashy. We got another dual full art land. And we got a Thopter token. So we got doggos and thopters. We're down to 3 packs. Next up, we have Suspicious Detonation, 5 drop, 4 colorless, 1 red. Sorcery, this spell costs 3 less to cast if you're sacrificing an artifact this turn. This spell can't be countered. Suspicious Detonation deals 4 damage to target creature. Next up, we have the Rot Farm Mortipede, 4 drop, 3/4 insect, 3 colorless, 1 black. Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, Rot Farm Millipede gets +1/+0 and gains menace and lifelink until end of turn. Next up, we have Escape Tunnel, land. Sacrifice Escape Tunnel, search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield, tapped and shuffle. Tap, sacrifice escape, secondary option, sacrifice a target creature with power 2 or less, can't be blocked this turn. Next up, we have Dual Diligence. 3 drop, 2 colorless, 1 white, enchantment aura. Enchant creature, when Due Diligence enters the battlefield, target creature you control other than enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance until end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. So when enters target creature you control other than enchanted creature. Okay, gotcha. Some weird ass wording. This entire set's got weird ass wording. We already talked about the Crime Stopper Sprite. Next up we have the Gravestone Strider. 2 drop, 1/3. Artifact creature golem, 2 colorless. 1 colorless, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only once each turn. 2 colorless, exile Gravestone Strider from your graveyard. Exile target card from a graveyard. Next up, we have the Slice from the Shadows. Instant X and 1 black. This spell can't be countered. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. Alright, next up, we talked about the Long Goodbye already. We've also talked about the Detective Satchel. I'm not sure if we talked about the Agency Outfitter. It's a 4/5/6 drop. 4/3 Sphinx Detective. 4 colorless, 2 blue, flying. When Agent Outfitter enters the battlefield, you may search your graveyard, hand, and or library for a card name Magnifying Glass and or a card name Thinking Cap and put them onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. Next up, we have Aftermath Analyst. 2 drop, 1/3 Elf Detective, 1 colorless, 1 green. When Aftermath Analyst enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Pay 3 colorless, 1 green, sacrifice Analyst, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Excuse me. Next up, we have Audience with the Torsini. The rare of the back. 3 drop, sorcery, 2 colorless, 1 green. Create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then draw 3 cards equal to the number of differency named creature tokens you control. The number of differentially named creature tokens you control. Okay. Next up we have a Repeat Offender. 2 drop, 2/1, 1 colorless, 1 black, Human Assassin. 2 colorless, 1 black. If a Repeat Offender is suspect, put a 1/1 counter on it, otherwise suspect it. We have an island. And we have a Detective Token. I believe that's blue and white. So, we've got 2 packs left. We've already talked about the Hotshot Investigators. We already talked about the Orangutan. We've already talked about the Reconstruction. We already talked about the Vengeful Creeper. We've already talked about the Market Watch Phantom. Next up, we have Sanitation Automaton. 2-drop, 2/1, artifact creature construct. When Sanitation Automaton enters the battlefield, Savell 1. Then we have a Dramatic Accusation, 3-drop, 2 colorless, 1 blue, enchant aura. Enchant creature, when Dramatic Accusation enters the battlefield, tapped enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. 2 blue, shuffle enchanted creature into its owner's library. Next up, we have the Frantic Scapegoat. 1-drop, 1/1, 1 red, goat, haste. When Frantic Scapegoat enters the battlefield, suspect it. Whenever one or more other creatures enter the battlefield under your control, if Frantic Scapegoat is suspected, you may suspect one of the other creatures. If you do, Frantic Scapegoat is no longer suspected. Next up, we have the Gleaming Gear Drake. 2-drop, blue-red, 1/1, Drake. Flying, when Glimpsing Gear Drake enters the battlefield, investigate. Whenever you sack an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on the Glimpsing Gear Drake. Next up, we have the Persuasive Interrogators. 6-drop, 5/6, 4 colorless, 2 black, Gregorian Detective. When Persuasive Interrogators enters the battlefield, investigate. Whenever you sack a clue, target opponent gains 2 poison counters. Okay. We got a dual rare. We have Connecting the Dots, 2-drop, 1 colorless, 1 red, and enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile top card of your library face down. 1 colorless, 1 red, discard your hand, sacrifice Connecting the Dots, put all cards exiled with Connecting the Dots into the owner's graveyard. Next up, we have this double rare, which is the Bard Surveyor. 4-drop, 1/1, 3 colorless, 1 black, artifact creature construct. Indestructible. Whenever Surveyor enters the battlefield, suspect it. Whenever Barbed Surveyor deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Whenever Barbed Surveyor is dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. Is dealt damage. Wow, it's like an upgraded Stuffy Doll. Interesting. To a player, you draw a card. Whenever it deals combat, target opponent. So you choose. That's interesting. Then we have a Nervous Gardener we've already chatted about. We have another full art land. And we have a human token. We're on our last pack. Next up, we have a Tunneled Tipster, 2-drop, 1/1, Mole Scout, 1 colorless, 1 green. At the beginning of your end step, if a face-down creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, put a 1/1 counter on Tunneled Tipster. Tap, add a green. Next one is Inside Source. We've already talked about them. Next up, we have Dogwalker, 2-drop, 1/1, 1 red, 1 white, Human Citizen, Vigilance, Disguise for either red or white, or 2 red or 2 white. When Dogwalker is turned face up, create 2 tap 1/1 white dog creature tokens. Next up, we have Ferocious Rage, 1-drop, instant, 1 red. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. Next up, we have Extract a Confession, 2-drop, sorcery, 1 colorless, 1 black. An additional cost to cast this spell, you may collect evidence 6. Each opponent sacks a creature if evidence was collected. Instead, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. Next up, we have Slice from the Shadows, X black. This spell can't be countered. Target creature gets +X/+X. So we already talked about that. That's a nice little... oh, it's a common. So we're good. Then we have Hard-Hitting Questions, 1-drop, green. Sorcery, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Next up, we have the Slimy Dual Leech, 4-drop, 2/4, 3 colorless, 1 black. Leech. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, target creature you control with power 2 or less gets +1 and +0 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Then we have Caught Red-Handed, 5-drop, 4 colorless, 1 red. Instant, this spell can't be countered. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Suspect it. We got dual rare. First one is Analyze the Pollen, 1-drop, 1 green. An additional cost to cast this spell. You may collect evidence 6. Search your library for a basic land card. If evidence was collected, instead search your library for a creature or land card. Reveal that card and put it into your hand and shuffle. Then we have Lazov, Wearer of Faces, 2-drop, 2/3, 1 blue, 1 black, Shapeshifter Detective. Whenever the Wearer of Faces attacks, exile target creature card from your graveyard, then investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have Lars become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. Then we come to the Person of Interest, 4-drop, 3 colorless, 1 red, 2/2, Human Rogue. When Person of Interest enters the battlefield, suspect it, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. Next up, we have a Bishop of the Bloodstain, 5-drop, 3 colorless, 2 black, 3/3, Vampire Cleric. When Bishop of the Bloodstain enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life for each vampire you control. And then we got another basic land. And then we have another mysterious creature token. We'll get the rest of these stuff off the boxes now, because that's all the packs for today. So we got full art carb paper. We also have actual more tokens. Poison counters. I guess locked or unlocked suspicious. Stun. And flying tokens. You got whatever that is. Full art. Another one of those. And a bunch more tokens. But that will do it for us here. I thank you all again for coming out. And as usual, this is Cobble, S. Cobble, saying, have a good night, and we shall see you in the next one. More tokens that they came out with and stuff like that, so see you in the next one.